Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's check it out.
वो पूछ रही है लगभग कितने प्रपोजल्स रिश्ते आपने देखे, कितनी लड़कियां देख ली आपने और इन्होंने?
रिश्ते आए थे
हाँ
वो उस समय
हाँ
इससे पूछा, इसने मना कर दिया कि अभी मत दो। बात ही करी थी, लड़कियां नहीं देखी, सिर्फ मैंने देखी, इसने तो किसी कोई
हाँ पर कितने रिश्ते होंगे लगभग?
वो 4
2
Okay, so far, what the mom is saying is consistent-ish with what one version of what Rishi was saying. The mom seems to be saying, yeah, we tried to propose a number of marriages, and Rishi kept telling us that he doesn't want to do that right now.
He never spoke to any of them.
Okay. I think I understand.
Okay, so we're also hearing that Rishi never talked to them. So, yeah, I think this is in line with one of the hypotheses is that to him, he's like, yes, they have tried to set me up, but I never actually participated in it. I never met with them. So in his mind, he's like, there have been no proposals, but there were proposals. And he even said that it seems like there's kind of a language barrier, that I'm trying to say something, but she seems to think that I'm saying different stories. Certainly us watching it did look that way, right? But hearing from the mom, it sounds like Rishi was trying and failing at communicating what was really happening.
I now understand that this actually hasn't been like a formal process. It's just sort of talk. Looking back on the restaurant now, I feel bad that I didn't give Rishi the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know. I don't blame Jen. Rishi is terrible at communicating things. Summit was kind of this way too. Of course, language barrier, but you would think that Rishi would be like, okay, let me explain how it all works here. That my mom met someone and they said that their daughter might be a good match. And so they had a conversation. I didn't even know they were having the conversation. And they talked me up with her and the family and said, okay, maybe we could set them up. And then my mom came to me and said that there's a proposal here. There's a possibility. Would you like to meet? And I didn't really want to do it because I was with you, but I didn't know what to say. And so I said, well, maybe later. And then a little later, I just told mom, no, I can't do it because I didn't want to do it. But my mom didn't know, so she thought she was helping. I don't know if that's a story, but just something more elaborate. But he always just smiles and says, yes, it's just fine. I had a proposal. No, I did it. Yeah, he doesn't. It helps to give detail. And it's something to think about for yourself out there, is that if you're having trouble communicating, some of you actually give too much detail. I'm one of those people. But some of you don't give enough detail. You think you're giving the detail, but you're not giving the detail. I think Rishi might be one of those people.
जिम में बहुत वो है जो साथ काम करती है मॉडलिंग वगैरह में.
Because he does modeling and also obviously he is interacting with some girls. Okay.
So you can let her know that I have something to say to everyone in the room.
Okay, ये कह रही हैं कि
Okay, this is just really weird. I mean, maybe all's well that ends well, but Jen was talking with her friends, and I will say that the friends were being a lot more fair when they're in India. Maybe being in India makes them more tentative about things. I don't know. Or upon meeting Rishi, maybe that helps. So they seem to pull back a lot, including Randy. And then at some point they're talking with Jen, and Jen's getting upset. She's starting to be impulsive, and the friends were actually really helpful in their triangulation of the situation. They were saying things like, well, let's take a break. Let's take a breath. Don't do anything rash. Let's go back to the hotel. Let's think about it. Let's rest on it, and because obviously there's a lot going on right now for you. There's a little condescension, which I think, not condescension, but codependency or I don't know, some kind of over-functioning going on with Jen. You could absolutely imagine, especially given the way that Randy talks about Jen, that they might have had an over-functioning or under-functioning relationship ongoing. Who knows? At least temporarily at times. And then Randy says that she's a certified interventionist and has worked with a lot of people regarding breaking the news that someone has an alcohol problem or a drug and alcohol problem. And you have to, I don't know exactly what she does, but typically what it involves is that you're concerned for a family member because of their drug use or their gambling habit. And everyone starts to walk on eggshells around it. The individual with the addiction never wants to talk about it. They get defensive about it, or they hide it, that kind of thing. And then the family starts to wonder, what do we do? How do we deal with this? And then they might seek help. Family therapy can help with this. Also, a combination of addiction therapy and family therapy or individual therapy can help. But you can also go to someone who knows what they're doing to do interventions, in which they're essentially like mini family therapy meetings, meaning that they're often a one-shot. Sometimes they can be multiple meetings, but the interventionist is a facilitator. They facilitate the communication from the family to the person who has an addiction. And the interventionists who are good at their job, it's not a blast. It's not an opportunity to blast. If you think about it, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Intervention. Yeah, I'm drinking wine in a can. He doesn't have all bad ideas. Anyway, so they will help people to say, but also to intervene if the family is being too harsh, if they're being too judgy or shaming. Then the interventionist will say, okay, let's return to our plan here. Let's return to our script. And then they might help the person with the addiction, like, how you doing with this? What's going on with you? Like, this is probably overwhelming. And there's some research around this as to whether or not this is the best way to, because essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to help the person with the addiction to get help and to start going on a road to recovery. But if someone's not ready for that, it can be overwhelming. It can feel shaming and rejecting. It could be massively betraying. If you're familiar with Elliott Smith, I think he went through something like this. I don't know the nature, the singer who died by suicide, seemingly. One of my favorite songwriters of all time, by the way. And he wrote about how he had an addiction, and a bunch of people did. I don't know if it was a formal intervention, but they all approached him and he got really upset. He wrote some songs about it, actually. Some real angry songs. Very beautiful songs, but the lyrics are angry at the people around him. Anyway, and it seems as though he got more and more angry as time went on about all that. Anyway, so Randy says, I'm a certified interventionist, so I'm going to do this. And I'm thinking, well, okay, but shouldn't Rishi be the one telling the parents? Or Jen, why this Randy the rando comes into this household for the very first time, and it's her job to tell the family that they're engaged. Now, at first I'm like, oh no, but then I thought, well, maybe this is best. But then I'm thinking, it's almost infantilizing both Jen and Rishi, like they're children, and this teacher has to come in and say, so let me tell you what your kids are up to. I don't know, it just feels kind of odd, but maybe this is what's necessary. I don't know. We'll see what the mom does. But if I were Jen, I would say, wait, okay, Randy, thank you, but I should really be the one to say. If I was Rishi, I would really step in and say, whoa. Okay, if this is happening, Mom, I have to tell you something. So, And then you wonder, is Rishi that inept? Is he that scared? Is he that childish to need someone else? Because when you lack responsibility and assertiveness and you come across someone who it loves to be assertive, like Randy, then that will suck that person in because they're looking for opportunities to enact their assertiveness / bulldozing, overfunctioning. And when you have underfunctioners, the overfunctioner just gets just like a vacuum into the situation, and soon they're running the show. And, I don't know. This could help, but it could also be really horrible. And Rishi could be upset, like, wait, what? You're coming in my house and telling my mom, like, I was going to tell her. And the mom could be upset, like, wait, Rishi, how come? I don't know. They could have gone to Rishi and say, look, ultimatum time. And I totally get where Jen is coming from. Look, you either tell your mom now or we're done. And that's kind of where she's at. And I wish they just would have gone to Rishi and said, we were going to just out you to your mom, but we want to give you one last chance. But we want to be there. So we're coming, and you either have told her already or you'll tell her at the meeting. If not, we're going to tell her. And we just want to see what happens. You just feel like you should give Rishi a chance to know what's happening. Because in his mind, he thinks he has an agreement with Jen that he will tell the mom on August 2nd, because that's what the astrologer says, which is in 2 months. And I guess there's a possibility that he fully plans on doing that. So he's like, wait, how come this is coming out of left field? So I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens here.
Instantly. But I don't know how to stop this conversation.
और वो यहाँ आई हैं इंडिया अमेरिका से जेन को सपोर्ट करने जेन और ऋषि का कुछ रिश्ता है और बताना चाहती हैं ये
I don't know. So we're hearing a translation, and then we have a translation of the translation in English, the subtitles. And it sounds like, at least the way it looks, the translator downplayed it from engagement to relationship. But I don't know. Let's see what the mom says.
लोगों को बताना चाहती है कि ये इस तरह का इनका रिश्ता है.
It's almost like you need a translator for the translator now. Like, did she say what I said? Engagement.
कि इन दोनों ने अंगूठियां देके वादा किया है कि ये एक दूसरे के साथ रहना चाहते हैं, शादी करना चाहते हैं.
Okay, she's just putting more words to it. Maybe she's like softening the blow or something.
कि इन दोनों ने अंगूठियां देके वादा किया है कि ये एक दूसरे के साथ रहना चाहते हैं, शादी करना चाहते हैं.
I don't know what is going on. It was something like I'm dreaming. I just want to put those words back in the Randy's mouth, but I can't. And I'm just speechless.
It does say something that he's not speaking up. Maybe he will, but you think he would. I would. If I was in his shoes, I'd be like, whoa, Mom, yeah. So, sorry, but I have to tell you something. I was going to wait, but I've been really worried, and I really want you to like Jen, and I don't want you to hate me, and I know it's going to be hard, and it's okay if you're going to, like, you think he would tend to the situation and not leave everyone hanging out to dry.
लेकिन बहुत शॉर्ट में हो गए हम सुन के ये बात.
कैसा लग रहा है आपको?
अच्छा लग रहा है.
अच्छा लग रहा है?
क्या करें?
She's saying she's feeling happy, nice.
That's great.
इसको पसंद है तो
Like if he likes her, what can I do?
It's funny. It's like the translator is like one of us fans in the room with them. She's like, hey, she said she's happy. Yay.
Talk to him about it a little bit, have a conversation before.
Absolutely. This meeting was not about an immediate answer. This gives
Okay.
everyone time to think about things.
Okay, so उनको लगता है कि बहुत खूबसूरत बात है कि दो बहुत ही अलग सभ्यताएं, उनकी अमेरिकी और हमारी भारतीय साथ में.
Yeah, it is awkward. And if I were Jen, I would I mean, he's doing nothing, which is weird. Maybe he feels betrayed. Maybe he never wanted to be with Jen. I don't know. I mean, it is a betrayal. They could have gone to him and gave him a chance anyway. But it all depends on how he reacts to this, I guess. But for Jen, you'd think she would step in and be like, so Rishi, how are you doing? I'm sorry. And mother-in-law, I just want to let you know that I didn't feel right just sitting by and not telling you. Rishi said he was going to wait a couple months, but I don't know. I just really wanted you to know. I felt like you deserved to know. I'm sorry. Just something other than just,
Received well, or, as well as can be expected. And I know we put Rishi in a tough spot, but even if he is upset, I think he'll get over it because his mom just said she was okay with it. This is what we wanted.
Okay, so what's going through your head right now?
and then more over-functioning, which would be my impulse. I would have that vacuum suckage that would pull me into over-functioning for Jen. And that would be my question. So she's asking Rishi, how do you feel?
कि समझ नहीं आ रहा मतलब एक्सेप्ट हो गया है या मतलब कहाँ तक जाएगा फिर क्या है मतलब वो क्या बात करना चाहती है मुझसे हालांकि बट ये एक्सेप्ट हो गया वो सबसे बड़ी चीज है बेसिकली जिस चीज के लिए मैं डर रहा था बेसिकली
रिलीफ लग रहा है आपको
हाँ
okay he's saying that
Yeah, it's hard to read him because on one hand, he could be, you would think he would be like, oh my God, really, Mom, are you sure? And then oh my God, yes, this is what I've always wanted, Jen, yay. You think there would be that. But you could also see him thinking, I don't know what my mom is. She's being polite because the cameras and y'all are here because you're guests, but I don't know what's going to happen. Or I was never going to ask my mom because I didn't want to be with you. So who knows what's going on here.
I trusted Jen because I thought she will understand the importance to waiting till August, but she didn't listen on my decision. So my plan is totally spoiled. They ruin everything at that moment for me.
Yeah, it's interesting. If he genuinely wants to be with Jen and he proves himself over time, then the story is that Jen and her bulldozing friends just bulldozed in another culture, and that Rishi is really bad at communicating, and he's a bit of a flirt, but his heart was in the right place. You know, there's a version of the story where he is really being bulldozed in this moment, but I don't know, a lot depends on what's really going on with Rishi. If he's in it to win it, and he was like, I'm 99% sure I was going to tell my parents on August 2nd, and that's what my religion, I don't know if you call it that, but that's what my astrologist said. So why did you do this? Why didn't you come to me? Yeah, I'm terrible at communicating. Yeah, I was a little shady, I guess, but this?
Jen told my family that she don't wanted to live in a joint family. I just got good vibes from my family about our relationship. I don't want it to spoil it at the same moment.
है ना, तो हम ये चाहते हैं कि ये मैरिज हो जाएगी, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है हमारे को, हम लोगों को.
Interesting. So he's saying no problem with the marriage. At least that's what his stance is. Then you're wondering, well, why didn't Rishi tell the parents earlier? And now Jen is saying, yeah, I don't want to live in the family home, essentially. And the parents are saying, hey, we're okay with the marriage, but he should stay here.
The main caretaker of this family, if he leaves, there'll be nobody to take care of them.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for them.
Okay. I don't even know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I think we're seeing evidence of the dynamic that's been between at least Randy and Jen, and maybe Randy and the other friend and Jen. I forget the other friend's name. With the underfunctioning, overfunctioning dynamic. That because we see with Randy particularly that she's overfunctioning, she's bulldozing, she's inserting herself a lot, really talking down to Jen throughout this whole season. Not currently when they're in India, but when they were back in the States and over a Zoom call we saw earlier in the season. But so it's easier to identify when you have an overfunctioner or underfunctioner. It's usually a lot easier to identify it kind of depends actually. What I'll say is that it's usually easier to identify just one of the sides. Like with their dynamic, at least thus far, it was really easy to see the overfunctioning side of that dynamic. And you might think that Jen doesn't deserve to be overfunctioned about. But I think especially in the last couple episodes, we're seeing that Jen does underfunction and does turn to people and say, help me. And she does exhibit chaos. She does exhibit lack of competency that requires, if you care as a friend, to do something. Now, you don't want to overfunction for someone. You can be there for them and you can try to help them, but you don't want to live their life for them. You don't want to be, because once you do that, there's a chance that often for the overfunctioners in the Randy position, they feel like they should because they care and they're better at things than their friend, but they resent it because and that's maybe where Randy is, the anger that she comes from. It's just like, I'm always picking up her pieces. I'm always fixing her problems. And she always comes to me when everything's out of control. And so I keep trying to fix things before they get out of control. And she refuses to listen, and then she completely, I think we're seeing that. And so right now, everything's on Jen and Rishi, and they're both just completely floundering. And Jen knew what was going to happen. And this is all her arrangement. She brought her friends. She got the translator. She said, let's come over. Let's do this thing. And, I get it. She's nervous, but you'd think she would, so here's the thing. Here's why. When underfunctioners are like this, it's typically because they don't have confidence in themselves. They were berated a lot, and when they were young, they learned, yeah, I'm not good at things. I always screw them up. And it just becomes the schema, the assumption, the belief. It's set in stone. There's no way around it. I'm going to screw it up. Why try? It's much better if I just defer. We're all like this about some things. Like if I were to be required to cook a cake or something, I would not do it on my own. I would definitely ask for help and say, could you just do it for me? Because I need to get it tomorrow, and there's just no way I'm going to be able to do it. Okay, so there are some instances where we will do that. But for the dependent person, they do it all the time. They don't believe they can do anything right. It's just baseline. Like, doesn't matter what it is, they're going to screw it up. Particularly if it involves other people that might scrutinize them. So that's what she's doing. She's under pressure, and she's like, what do I do? I don't know if I'm seeing that, but it has that look to it.
I don't even know. I don't know what to say.
Well, you don't have to get into the specifics and semantics of everything right now.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the friends being triangulated, pulled into an overfunctioning role, are actually doing good by helping her, being, well, just maybe do this. Because they could have taken over, right? But they're like, hey, how about you can do it. Just do this one.
I would like to politely excuse ourselves so they can have some time to talk with Rishi on their own.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right, well, let's adjourn there. Everyone, please, I want to remind you, really, take care of yourself because you deserve it. You do. You really do.